Otherwise, I didn't see any significant issues in terms of performance. For the most part, people are surviving, and so forth. So I don't have any issues with that. I did look through them and I didn't see any significant issues. And then people making mistakes here and there, but so hopefully those will iron out by itself. However, I have decided to make, well, hopefully consider the final variation of the final variation of our mech positions. And this is going to be the positions that will give us the highest uptime on DPS and so forth. So there aren't going to be much changes in terms of optimization from this point, other than potentially switching players in their roles. But in terms of roles and positions, this is probably going to be the best we'll get in terms of stuff. So let me start sharing screen real quick. All right. And Jeannie, you're recording this, yeah? Thank you. All right. So in the slideshow that's pinned into the IE Discord, I updated the slideshow to have all the newer pictures and so forth. So if you want to open and check that out, you're more than welcome to. But basically, what we're gonna do is, let's see. So just as a review, even for Banana and everyone else, the way I number positions is basically by your number and by color. So 1 blue, 2 blue, 2 red, and so forth. So each player would be assigned to a position, and then each of the dots you see would be that person. So the 3 red person is whoever 3 red would have been, you know. So that's how I'll be referring to positions and players and so forth. So I'll be confused by that. For the first one, here's our meter positions. This shouldn't be too surprising. It's basically what we've had in the past. I didn't make any significant changes. However, what I did change was we're gonna have Casey and Yuya. You're gonna be on the opposite side now. So Yuya is gonna be 1 blue. Casey is 2 red. I don't know, is it? Wait, is the screen dark or is it just web? No. Well, you can watch the thing. I don't know. I don't know what's setting.
Sorry. Where's the slideshow pin again?
It should be in the IE Nocturne in the pins. I think Luxury's pinned it.
I'm not finding it.
Yeah, there it is on the very bottom there. The last let me click on that. Yeah, there it is.
On the very bottom is the. Wait a minute.
It should be like a link.
Never mind,
Yeah.
Never mind.
All right.
Retry.
Yeah. So anyway, so for positions for everyone in this stuff, 1 blue is Yuya. 2 blue is Spike. 3 blue is Banana. 4 blue is Beb. 5 blue is Ray, and 6 blue is Gina. 1 red is Myung. 2 red would have been Casey. 3 red would have been Cataracts. 4 red is Lux. 5 red Lucira, and 6 red is myself. So for the most part, it's the same. Like, just note that I switch Yuya and Casey to different sides for optimization purposes. That being said, it is to Gina's best interest to DPS on this side of the stuff because she'll be doing the first ball drive on this side. So, for positions and DPS requirements, so I walked through the entire raid and mech rows, and based on how much uptime on the boss you had, is the expected DPS you'd be required to do in the raid. This is a rough estimation. With this calculations, we hit our minimum to kill this thing. So obviously, if you do more than this, the easier we get. But at the very least, everyone should be hitting their DPS minimums. So the 1R position is Myung spot. Because you're tanking, I'm at 3.5. I know 100% you can hit 4 mil, no problem. So you should be at no problem this one. 2 red, this is Casey's position. His position now has a lot more uptime, so 3.5 for him. 3 red is Cataracts. Because he's doing the first ball drive in every phase, he's going to be down for that first part. So his DPS requirement is 2.5, but he can hit 3.5 if he was on the boss. 4 red, this is Lux. Similarly to Casey, you have a 3.5 requirement. Same thing with Lucille, 3.5 as well. Because I'll be out for both phases and I can't DPS, I have a 1.5. One blue, this is going to be Yuya, you have a 3.5. Two blue, which is Spike, 3.5 as well, similar with the other melee DPS. Three blue and four blue, your positions are even easier because you have like literally no movement in the entire of this fight, and so you have the highest uptime among any of the other roles. So your both requirements are 4 mil. Five blue, this is going to be Ray. You're at 3.5 because you have to be the gear. However, you 100% can do more than 4 mil or plus. So technically for that position though. And six blue, this is what's the one called? Gina. Gina's magic, so this is easy. If Gina wasn't range class and had stuff, then hers would be 1.5. But because she's range class and magical, you get 4. So again, if everyone hits this DPS requirement, we will kill this thing. If people are slacking significantly, then we have some issues. Whether it's DPS optimization, you're not on the boss as much as you should be. Your class is too weak, whatever, like 2 FPS, whatever. But we will have to figure that out. So basically, this is what I'll be looking for. So if we are getting DPS issues, I will be asking for end of raid parses, your DPS for end of raid, just so I can see how close or far you are. Again, don't be ashamed of your DPS. It is what it is. But we do need to hit these numbers if we want to kill this thing. So since we are getting closer to that 35% phase and ending, we need to make sure we're hitting these numbers. So for tomorrow, make sure that you are trying your best to hit these numbers while doing the mechs and so forth. Um, yeah. And again, these are rough estimates. For example, if Gina does like 6 mil, then that means other people get a little bit less. So the more people do, the easier it is for everyone else, basically. So everyone is optimized. You don't bump into anyone. That's good for you because then you don't bump into someone who's going to do more DPS for you. The better it is. Do not bump into people. All right. So everything clear for that part. Um, Again, your positions and meters and stuff. All right. So this here I'm going to show more detail later, but I have a full animation for the 90 and 65% phase. I didn't make one for the 35% phase because that's literally too much work for something that changes like one little detail at the end. But I'll talk about that one little detail when we get to 35%. So I'll come back to this though. This is just basically the same thing what the animation will show, but just shows your initial positions. Again, I'll go into more detail about how it changes because we are doing a 3-man ball drive instead of a 4-man that we had in the past. I think at this point, all the players that I would expect to do ball drive have had a chance to do it, and I've seen everyone doing different things every week. So there's quite a few people who could take over ball driving. So the ball driver is going to be Gina and Cataracts as a primary, and I'm the second one for the blue phase. First backup for red will be Casey. So if Cataracts dies at any point, Casey will be taking over that macro position. If Casey dies, then Lucille will take over that mech position. If it goes to that point, we're kind of shot. So basically, technically, Lux would be the only one who could take over, but I haven't had Lux practice it in any respect. So if it came down to it, then Lux would have to YOLO it. But basically, the order is Cataracts is the primary always, then Casey, then Lucille, and then pray we don't get to Lux. For the blue, which is Gina's role, Gina will be doing both ball drives, so she'll be in the red and blue phase. If Gina's dead, the one who takes over is Yuya. If Yuya's dead, then we're screwed. Yeah. So, don't die Gina, don't die Yuya. Yeah. Yeah, yeah. You'll be screwed many ways if those two die, so. Good. Yeah. Alright. So 90%, it's going to look basically the same. For most people, this isn't anything different than what they've had. So for the very beginning, and actually what I'll do is I'll play this little ghetto thing I made. So when we first start out, one of the most important things is Beb and Banana, your job is to go for every DPSing, move over into this 8 o'clock slice. Beb is going to be right about here, and Banana is going to be sitting right next to him, right about here in the slice. If you're DPSing here, you will be okay. It's important that you move there over because Lucero is going to be going straight down to bait the gears. Same thing with Lux, same thing with Cataracts. Spike, as already knows, is already going to be moving upward north this way. While this is happening, Gene is moving down into the 3 o'clock position. I'm moving down to 9 o'clock as we wait for our ball drive to see what the bubble is going to be. Once me and Gina have gotten to our position, this is when Casey and Ray can then move back and chill out at 9 meters to avoid the knockback. You can iframe in place. However, you are going to have to get used to moving, Casey, if you do like the iframe, because you have to move all the way for Miyoung to get into position when we get into 65 and 35%. So I would just make it a habit of doing this because you're going to have to do it 65% anyway. Okay, so this is the knockback AoE. The gears will come shooting at their faces, and they dodge them. From this point onward, it's very important that both Ray and Casey dash in because depending on where the ball is, we're going to need this area clearance to get the ball drive. So Ray's really used to this stuff dashing inward. I usually tell her like move or get in. But Casey, you have to make sure you dash in there quick to make sure that we have this clearance. So when Cadex is coming here, he ain't going to run into you. So the moment these gears come out, you dash in because Cadex is going to be double dashing upward to wherever the ball is going to be, and likewise Gino gain position. Okay, so here's a regular ball drive. Again, block that one. This is HM block here. From this point onward, Cadax will head to the 3 o'clock position, while Gina is going to go head back to 6 o'clock to get ready into position for the next ball drive. As you can see, everyone else is DPSing here. Spike had moved from his normal 4 o'clock position all the way up to 2 o'clock here. The reason for this is because he's going to get ready to bait the gears for the next phase, so he's positioning himself. Here's CC, here's a flamethrower. When the flamethrower is going out, everyone else is kind of getting position. I'll be here chilling out, waiting for the ball. At this point, I'll know where the ball will be, so I can already get in position. But I'm just going to chill out anyway. And Gino will start moving toward the position it would be anyway. Here, when the flamethrower happens, Ray, you just push out and come out here. And you move scoot over here so you can get ready to get in position for that. Sheath happens here. Everyone's icicle. The 3 gears will go back to the position at the 12 o'clock part. And here you'll notice that everyone moving away from the boss. Again, this is mostly to get practice for the 65% phase when we need the space from Young to move. So Casey's moving out. Carrick is already chin out here anyway. Lux is moving out. Lucia is moving out here. One thing to note, I have it set so if Gina's on this line, she won't bump into Lucia. Yeah, basically. So basically, as long as you are in this line on this line, you shouldn't bump into Lucia. So whichever one we get ready for, as long as you're on a line and you're not in Lucia's way. Likewise, the way I have it set is as long as Beb and Banana are in this position that I set out, even if Lucia S's is back, they won't bump. So do make sure that you are in this position. Otherwise, if you're like chin out and not looking, Lucia's going to bump into you. You're going to have a terrible time. So from this point onward, the gears will go out. Again, Ray's going to take the long way around. Don't get hit by this. Same thing. He dodges inside. Like moves inside as well. Lucia dashes back inward. From here, Casey, you're going to go to the 12 o'clock to DPS. Cadillacs will then be able to DPS at 3 o'clock. Lux is at his 4 o'clock position. Miyoung has gone to 6 o'clock. Lucia, you're still at your 8 o'clock position. Here, me and Gina doing the ball drive on the blue phase. Here, you notice that Spike has already started to move over. At this point, Spike can already move over to the 4 o'clock position where he would DPS normally. And if he does that, this will give you some space to move over in a second. Okay, there's backslash. Here's punishment. At this punishment, I didn't show it in this picture, but really what should happen is, no, I'll talk about it after in the next part. So We finish the ball drive. The gears go through. We CC it. Here's a flamethrower. This is when everyone starts getting into position for their meters. Again, with the meters, the way I have it set is that each player has a line or position that they are free to use to get in position so they don't overlap. So if you, wherever you are, as long as you're the right meter, I don't care. Like if people are spread out, but just know don't go over into someone else's line or space so you don't bump into them and move them out of position accidentally. So Myung obviously is gonna be the closest one. Gina knows that she's just the second closest one. From here on, Casey and Yuya, I have this 2 o'clock line for them to use. For Cadax and Spike, I have the 3 o'clock line for them to use. For Lux, I have the 4 o'clock line to use. But then basically you're DPSing here anyway, so you just find 16 meters, which should be easy enough, wherever the max range DPS, and you have this little pizza slice to stay in. 5 o'clock is Losira and Beb, so you have the 8 o'clock line to stand on, and then me and Ray have the 10 o'clock line to stand on. Again, these are just to organize it so you're not bumping in, being where you shouldn't. So if you're on this, you're 100% safe. No one should be crossing over or be in your way. But if you're out of position for whatever reason, then just be where you are. So that's 90% phase. Again, we don't usually have too much issues with that, but I did want to show the version of the 3-man ball drive since it's slightly different. But most people should have pretty good uptime on DPS for that. Yeah, other than if being the gears, almost everyone is DPSing. A little bit of cataracts at the end of the phase, but other than that, everyone's should be DPSing. Right. So 65 and 35% again is going to be the harder version of it, and it's a little bit more complex, but overall it's still not too bad. So when the phase starts, you're gonna notice that almost everyone is moving when you get into position. So the same thing, Beb and Banana moving to the 8 o'clock slice. Again, move ASAP because Osira is going to be running south. Same with Lux and Cadax. Same thing with Spike is moving out to the side. Here, Ray is booking it back out here. So this thing is something that I wasn't sure which would be more optimal. But what I'm thinking is if Gina stays put right at about 60 meters, what can happen is Yuya can pass in front of him to stand up here, and then Gina moves forward. I think this will be more easier because what can happen is if Yuya tries to go behind Gina, they're gonna bump. I feel it. So if as long as Gina's beyond this line here, Yuya will use this line as his guidepost to go right here to 12 o'clock. This way, no matter what happens, Yuya will not bump into Gina. So Yuya, use this line to get to 12 o'clock, and Gina should make sure that whatever she's doing, she is not in your way, so as you pass over to this side. The reason for this is that this will give an easy way for Gina to basically do the ball drive right after, instead of having to cross over and deal with Casey and Yuya in their face. So this should give her the easiest path. So as they're going out, notice that even though Beb and Banana were moving to 8 o'clock, they're still within the circle here. And the reason for this is if we don't want the big gears to go to these corners, that would be terrible. So here you can see Spike and Banana and stuff are inside this line here. Also notice that Casey and Ray have already, or not Ray, me and myself are backed out. This will allow me an easy way to get to 3 o'clock without anyone in our face. So the faster we all move into position, the easier this will become. And that has been an issue in the past, but just keeping that as a note, that's really important, that Casey moves quickly, so that way Myung can get to 3 o'clock, so she can get gears to her face. So see here, the gears will go this way and this way, and Myung won't be in the way to block it with her face, fortunately. Okay. So once the gears go out, Myung goes back to her normal tanking position. Here you notice that Spike is moving back upward, away from the boss again, and same with Beb and Banana. They're moving back to their 16-meter position to DPS, and so forth. At this point, this is something different. Losira, who's red 5, and Lux, who's red 4, notice the path they're taking. they are going around the map to get in position to block this. Now, again, I'm willing to take this DPS loss simply to make sure we get this down correctly. And if we need more DPS, we'll take it from somewhere else. I don't want to screw this particular mech up, because if we screw the mech up, we don't get past 65% easily, and we gotta do what we always do in DPS, which is not fun. So right after this, they're taking the long way. Now there's some few points where it can get messy, and I want to make sure this is clear. Lucia will be using the edge of the map to get there. He will have the entire of their face, he'll get there no problem. Banana and Beb, when you move back, don't SS back. If you SS back, you might literally crash into Lucia because the timing matches up nicely to that. Just walk back casually. You're literally just DPSing and stepping back. This will make sure that the 16 meters about here-ish, you won't accidentally run into Lucia by SSing. So just chill out. You have all the time in the world. Just from 12 meters, walk slowly back to 16. You'll see him behind you anyway, so careful with that. Similarly with Spike, Lux is going to be on the side behind you. Again, Spike, don't go to the very edge because Lux will be right behind you. So once he's passed, you can chill out wherever, but just make sure you're not going to bump into him as he's coming around. Same thing with Yuya up here. Watch out for Lux going around you. Here, me and Gina are in our positions. Because I have to go here, I'm going to straight go to the stalling the ball while Gina waits for Cadax to get to the ball. Again, regardless of which position it happens to be at, it doesn't change the flow of it. It's still the same thing. Okay. So here you see Cadax has gone to his ball. Gina would move inward here to bait. At this point, Lucia and Lux should be pretty close to getting to their position to block. Again, making sure you is not too far out so Lux can easily go behind them. In case Cena is already back to DPSing. So here's the ball drive. Here we're both doing the ball drive together. At this point, so this is actually a really important point. So once Gina and Cadax have finished second position, which is at 3 o'clock, only at that point can Casey move out. If Casey tries to move out anytime before that, he will literally crash into everyone and wipe us. So make sure that once this part here is started, then Casey can go out to this point. Because there's too much traffic going on at this point, if Casey tries to go out before that happens, I can already see it. Terrible things happening to us. So Casey, basically the reason why you're at this position is because you have a very short distance to get here. It's really quick. But you have to wait till after the third. Now, granted, this is more than enough time to do this. This is like 10 billion years to get here. But you just have to make sure you wait till after this ball has passed, then you can move. Basic idea is don't bump into anyone, because you will bump into someone if you try and cross right away. Since you will be right in the path of the ball drive where Gina and Cadax are heading toward. So you wait for them to pass you, then go. For everyone else, here you can see Lucia, Lux, and Casey are in position to block it. They need to be in this position when the punishment goes out, because if this goes correctly, by the CC/flamethrower, the thing will activate and push it back. So you want to make sure that they're in that position before that point. Okay, here's the CC. So here's the little detail I'm mentioning. If you get in the habit of this to begin with, he won't never have to move like ever for the most part. But basically, since we have our gears in this configuration, the flamethrower will be baited at the 2 o'clock line. So the only one who's in this way is Yuya. So if Yuya literally just DPSs over here-ish, he would be fine technically forever. Since there's nothing else that would happen at that point. So flamethrower goes out. Again, make sure Yuya moves out. Miyung is going to move to that 2 o'clock position either during the punishment or during the CC phase. So that's so much time you have Yuya to get out of that spot there. Alright. Okay, once that's finished, what's going to happen here, and this is another tricky point, is that Lucia, depending on how fast you can move out and get in position, your goal is to go from here right back to your spot. Now, if you're really slow, you're going to have to take the long way. You're going to have to take the long way and wait and get out. If you're fast, you can make it here, cut right through before we get to the ball drive or into this area. Because the path we're taking is here, 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 And here, basically, as long as you are very quick and don't touch us, we should be able to avoid you without issue if you take this inner path here. So be very sneaky, very quick to get into your spot, and once you're in here, you're safe. But just know that me and Gina will be moving on the ball this direction. Just be very careful because it is a blue ball. So this one is attracted to red players. So again, this is a very important point. Again, I won't know exactly the timing and how fast you can move until we get in there and see it. But this is something I can always see being an issue if you are running too close to this ball here and draw toward the stuff we're gonna wipe. So be careful with this. Move quicker before this ball gets to this point. No problem. That being said, I'll be up on this ball's face to make sure that it goes the right direction. So number 4, Lux. You have a very long way to go around. So yeah, you basically go all the way around. Again, no one should be in this pathway here. Yuya and Spike are out on the outer edge of this 12, 13 meter line. This is Cataract's DPSing meta range, so this path from here to here should be free. So you can basically just come in and DPS after that. And Casey basically just drops down and goes to 2 o'clock. So. Okay, so here everyone's in DPS positions with finishing the ball drive phase here. Okay, we CC it. In the flamethrower, this is when everyone gets into position for their meters. So again, same as before, Casey. The moment this is finished, you move into position because Myung is going to be sweeping around to 12 o'clock again to get back into tanky position. So after it's done, you book it to your line here and wait out your meter position. When this is done, Gina basically just, depending on where the ball is, Gina will be basically here or over here, which is really close to her position anyway. And I'll be going off this side. Everyone else has easy way to get to their positions. Again, I designed it so you're right next to your line or something. In this particular case, the only one who's kind of out of position is Banana, simply because if he didn't move to this position before that phase, it's whatever. But technically, it's not a big issue as long as everyone's in their meter positions. I don't really care. Also notice here that because I'm out here or over here, I won't be at this line. So I have Ray basically just assessing and just being at the correct meter at this point. I think Ray is the furthest person out. So Ray, even though it's tough, the further you are, the easier it's for me. So basically, I have a little bit more leeway since I have to be the second furthest.
What?
So, and then these 2 should be basically right on the mark. You had the entire phase to get a meter position anyway, so like if you just DPS at your meters, like easy life. And then the surge assesses that way. Right. So that's 65% phase in terms of how we'll do it with the 3-man. Now there is one difference. So, going back a little bit. So if you notice like V1 and V2, that's just version 1 and version 2. So here I just showed what the bottom right might look like. And here I show what the bottom left might look like. You'll notice that it doesn't change the ball driving positions or the DPS positions because we can still do it no matter what. The one thing it happens is if we have this configuration, Banana is going to be right next to the end of ball drive. That being said, I'm sure Gina's big brain enough not to bump into you. But just make sure that when you see the missile here, when you see the ball coming near us, just move over a little bit to give more space. But either way, no matter what happens, Gina should in no way go into this quadrant here. Basically, Gina would go forward into the inner quadrant and the inner ring to move, but no way should she ever go in the back quadrant here. So if Gina goes this way, that's Gina's fault. Gina should be going inward this way to these quadrants. So what I always do is basically when I'm out here, I dash through the missile and go this way. Basically, Cadax is pretty quick about moving out of the way. So once he's moving, I just go right through the missile and go into this inner pathway. I don't go this way. This is bad. This is trap. Just go inward, and then you're safe. Same thing for the version 1. So top left, what you already saw in the animation. If it's on the top right, basically it's even a little bit easier for everyone else because the ball drive is not going to happen in this quadrant. It's going to be happening in this ones. So the only one again that's going to get in the people's way is going to be Yuya. Again, if Yuya is moving over here, and if I just move him here permanently, he'll be out of the way of everything, and he won't have to move. So, all right. So here again, if you look at this, if you want to see the animation again, it's inside the slideshow, so 60% and 90% phase, so you can watch that to remember your position and so forth. Gears. So this is again one version of 65% when this is this position. Here you can see everyone DPSing and so forth. A red phase. Again, when the flamethrower goes out, here you can see you is over here. Otherwise, it looks exactly the same. Version 2 is when the missiles are in this configuration. Because Baltra is coming here, same as before, Banana just don't be in Gina's way. It comes out. Again, Gina should never cross over to this quadrant here. She should be going inward. So as long as you aren't like in here or whatever, you won't be in her way. So that's good. Anything else? No. Okay. Again, flamethrower goes out. It's here. When we get to blue phase, it's a lot easier. It looks just like how 90% looked because there's only one missile again. It's just like how it was before. The ball driving will be going on this way. Again, both Banana and Beb should be at 60 meters max range. And if I drive, and I'll be driving it, so I won't hit you. But as long as you aren't in my way, I should be able to get our positions good. Version 2 is actually a little bit even easier because there's no one in this quadrant at this point. It's probably the easiest for us. And again, Yuya should be on this side anyway because the flamethrower is on the side. So he's chilling out here anyway. And he won't be in the way. Oh yes, easy. Alright. So 35%. So the only difference with 35% and 65 is that the end of the red phase at 35%. The first part of the red is going to be exactly the same that you saw at 65. No change. Everyone's doing the same baits, same stuff. However, when we get to the sheath part at 35%, we're going to get a polarity switch. So all of your colors are going to swap, right? For most people, that can make absolutely zero difference. The only people it changes is, or it screws over is me and Gina. But other than that, it makes no difference to anyone else. However, he is going to get this blue cross line. And similarly, like in everything, you touch this, you die. You can cross it by SSing, hook over all the normal things that can get through. You can't personal iframe it like bubble walk through. That should still kill you. But SSing, hooks, and those kind of things, dashes should be able to get over this. Now, depending on the configuration, at blue phase, there's two versions. So if it's the missile's in the top left, what should happen is both me and Gina get trapped in the top left with the missile, and there should be no one else in here. Here you notice that number 3 Cataracts is DPSing in the top right corner. Number 2 red is Casey, who is DPSing from range, quote quote, behind them. Number 1 is Yuya, DPSing here. Notice Spike, that you're no longer DPSing over here, you're DPSing closer to here. And the reason being is you're basically going to be in this little piece of slice sandwiched between the 6 o'clock line and the flamethrower. Lux, basically, without screwing us over in this quadrant, you get free time to just chill out on the edge of the map. Yeah. Number 5, this is going to be Ray. I talked to Lucille. He said he can DPS Ghetto Lee at 8 meters, so that's what we're doing. So Ray is going to be moving over to the 8 o'clock slice, DPS melee range, while Lucille is right behind her. Here you see Beb and Banana DPSing at max range at 16 meters in the Spectre quadrant, with Beb having the 8 o'clock while Banana having the 7 o'clock slice. Again, you want max range to give everyone space. This is again not normal positions, so just make sure if you're at max range, you should be in anyone's way and so forth. And so this is what the configuration would look like if the missile's in top left corner. So in the second version, where the missile's in the top right corner, notice that Spike, what's this size? Spike, Yuya, Lux, your positions are the same. Myung is always going to tank in the 4 o'clock slice and always going to direct it right on the line. Ray is always going to be 8 o'clock. Lucia is always right behind. Beb's always right behind. Banana's right behind. And here, what you'll notice is Cadax and Casey have to move over to the other slice before the pizza comes up, if possible. Otherwise, they SS through. The main reason is we don't want anyone to be in this quadrant here while me and Gina are doing the final ball drive. If we are, because how tight it is, there's a good chance the ball will. Once it goes over here, it's over. Like once it gets to this thing and it's jumping around, we're not going to be able to get it back very easily. So it's very important that both you guys are booking it to the other quadrant. That being said, it should be a polarity switch. So technically, these are now blues. So you shouldn't be able to direct it at least. But that being said, don't be in the way. So when you realize that the missile is going to be on this top right quadrant, you position yourself into the left side of the map when the ice goes down. So that way when the ice comes out, you're already chilling out in your DPS position without having to worry. If you're late or like I don't know, too hyped that you got this far and panic, don't worry. SS, you're done. Just SS, easy. Again, just be careful, don't SS into people. Again, the ball driving will be coming from this way into here anyway. So as long as you're SSing inside, you should be okay. Don't SS on the outer part where me and Gina will be. So after this phase finishes, you go back into your meter positions. I'm going to tell you right now that don't worry about getting onto a very static line. Wherever you happen to be, just find your meter in whatever quadrant you are. It's as simple as that. So whichever quadrant you are, just find your meter and chill out there. Get your colors. Keep in mind that technically we don't necessarily care about the colors so much, but it is important that we are trying to get our regular colors so that we have the opposite color pattern that we had before. If you don't, it's not a big deal necessarily. All that means is when you touch, you bump. And depending on who's bumping, that can make things a lot more difficult than it has to be. So we do want to make sure we hit meters at this point, even though we won't be using the colors for anything other than the missiles. Stick to your meters, get that, and we'll have a very easy 10% phase. Nothing special happens. We just DPS it like normal, share missiles like normal. So, any questions about our final strategy here going for tomorrow? Comments, suggestions, improvements? Anything not clear? Hmm?
I like. Let's clear IA bustling.
Well, I mean,
I
yeah, that one
mean,
too.
the only thing that I could say is if the ball jumps over the laser, someone needs to if you want to try to salvage that, would be just someone of the opposite color of the ball. Keep an eye on it and try to send the ball back. But yeah.
Yeah. I mean, like I said, once this ball goes over the line, it's gonna be such like a potato clown show to try and get it back. That by the time we try and get it over this line, it's looking pretty rest in peace for us. So
Yeah,
if we want to finally get this, we get it in the quadrant.
if you can get it back in one bounce, then it's over.
Yeah.
There is not enough time. You can only miss one bounce. If you miss two, then that's it.
Yep, pretty much. I do live in Hawaii.
He lives in the best place ever, I swear.
Live in the middle of this stuff. Indeed. That's why it's so hot.
So, Gina, how do you like being mech slave?
What's the difference? What's the difference from normal?
It's okay. We just give a motivational speech to her for a raid. Easy.
I don't need motivation. I'm already there.
Gina, Gina, Gina.
And 0% you go.
Oh my gosh.
The background sound of your mic just sounds like you're in the middle of like a soccer game.
I'm launching One Punch Man Season 2, damn it.
Oh my gosh.
Just like it sounds like I have a crowd.
yeah. So well, anyway, use this time to look over your position. Look at the animations to make sure you know what the game plan is. At this point in progression, I'm expecting everyone to know their positions and so forth. So they shouldn't be like, "Where should I be standing?" I made you an animation to show you exactly where you need to be standing. No excuses at this point. So, um, again, the only reason I would change a roster would be because our DPS. So certain players aren't hitting the DPS requirement, basically. So keep in mind that this is how much DPS you need to do by end of fight. So when everything is down, if you're hitting this number, you at least your DPS is safe. You're okay. I don't need to replace you or anything like that. Everything is good. But if you aren't hitting your DPS numbers for whatever reason, um, talk to me. Let me know. I will know anyway, no matter what you do. You know, because if I see the bottom six is at, you know, 3.2, I know everyone below that, other than the mech people, are below that. So I won't even have to ask you to know if you're under or not. But I know the FMs are gonna be extra boosted, so that's why the FMs I know mentally are gonna have nice extra DPS boost there. But for everyone else, try your best to hit your DPS requirement. You know, keep upgrading, do what you can, and so forth. Um, and if you have issues or something like, no matter how much you do optimize, you aren't getting it. Talk to me. I'll see if we can change positions or try to change it up or something to get the most out of your DPS. But yeah. So as long as you are hitting your DPS requirement, don't worry about other people, because if they're really potato and low, then I can just replace them with someone who is that stuff. Because even though I like everyone in the raid, it's still a numbers game. If we aren't hitting the numbers that you're supposed to, like, what can you do? Yeah, I mean, I optimize it where people are doing the minimum amount of moving, a minimum amount of mechs and so forth. That you're not going to get any higher DPS in this configuration, at least for doing this strategy. If you change to something else, maybe, but it's not with ball drive. So yeah, do your best. Do your best. Also, before I forget, Kadak is gonna have to be late to raid by 1.5 hours tomorrow. We're gonna have Carl fill in for him. So that being said, we're probably gonna have Casey do Kadak's role for the first hour and a half. That should be fun. Um, other than that, though, once Kadak comes back, what?
Can I bring Mo Destroyer then? Can I be Cataract? Sorry.
I'll think about it. I'm not, let's say, against it, but I don't want to screw over Michael's raid and so forth because of changing up stuff. So
We got like 20 sheets in here. It's fine.
I'm talking about the Soulburn part and the sub part. Yeah.
Oh.
Because yeah. Anyway, but
Sorry.
yeah.
You-
So yeah. Also, before I forget, because Monday is Memorial Day, there are gonna be certain players who are off. I would like to try to do additional time. I 100% understand if you actually have like actual plans in life, but if you don't, I'm gonna put another reaction out for Monday availability. But I'll put out after Sunday. Basically, however happens on Sunday, will determine how much time and stuff that we can do for Monday. I would like to try to do Monday though, but again, if people can't make it, it is what it is. So, but we will see. We'll see how tomorrow goes, how much progression you make, and so forth. Because if we're really close, you know. But if we're really far away, you know. It's a
I think we
summoner.
should do it either way.
What's a summoner? Don't die easy. So, anyway, that's all I had for strategy and so forth. Raid is in another hour or so, so you're free to just chill out and whatever until then. So.